Hi, guys. Come on, Jeff, over here. Good to see you all. Nice to see a lot of Wisconsinites here. It's pretty cool. Welcome to the Rayburn Room.
It's a beautiful room. Thanks for having us.
You bet. My pleasure.
So this is probably the last time that WisPolitics is going to interview you as speaker. So you're getting kind of misty-eyed, right?
Does it show?
Oh, you look way too happy, yeah, right. Way too happy. So you're a short timer.
I guess so. I've been here for 20 years, so it doesn't feel like anything's short time. But we're in the fourth quarter, basically coming in the fourth quarter here.
So you're one of those guys that...
Which, by the way, was that not like the best fourth quarter you ever seen? I mean, good grief, man.
Cheap applause lines already? Yeah. Okay, so we only have a half hour, so I'm going to just jump right into it. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
So the president signed an executive order today to have additional sanctions against those who interfere in elections. There's some bipartisan criticism of that it doesn't go far enough. I guess I would just ask you whether you're confident about election security in Wisconsin, in Janesville, and in Milwaukee. Are you confident it's going to occur, or are you worried?
Yeah, I am not underconfident. I have no reason to lose faith in our system. I feel good about it. First of all, our systems in Wisconsin are good. We've upgraded them since the HAVA vote, which is back since 2000. I think the president, and I got a briefing on the executive order, I think they're right to do it. They're right to put penalties and sanctions out there for anybody who tries to meddle. What you worry about is where some of the criticism comes from both sides or from other corners is, are you federalizing too much? Because remember, this is something that states and localities are in charge of. We want to make sure that we have technological, standards and minimums, but you don't want to federalize everything. And that's why this is a delicate balance. But that's why the administration's right to say, we are watching, we are coordinating, and we will be penalizing if someone tries to mess with our election security. So that's why I think we see it coming, meaning we know that there are malevolent factors out there that are trying to meddle in our elections. We saw it the last time around. I sent a letter with Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer to secretaries of state in the last election cycle saying, heads up, beware. And we've now had 2 more years for our election officials to prepare for such a thing.
Are you happy with
So I feel like we're better prepared.
Okay. Are you happy with how social media are trying to govern themselves in this regard, or do you think they need a push from you guys?
I don't know the answer to that question. It's too soon to say. That's why we've been having hearings. We just started hearings about a week ago on this. So Congress has a lot more to learn about this subject.
Okay, let's talk about tax reform. That may be your legacy item.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Absolutely. It's one of the things I came here to do when I first arrived. It's what I worked on for 18 years in the Ways and Means Committee, and it's something I've been working on since before I was a member of Congress. I've long believed we needed to overhaul the U.S. tax system if we're going to get faster economic growth, if we're going to be globally competitive. We did that, and exactly what we were hoping would happen is happening. Much faster economic growth, faster wage growth, jobless rate at a 49-year low, the lowest Latino and unemployment rate in history. We had great wage data just come out just the other day. And more importantly, internationally, there's no reason not to be an American company anymore because of our tax laws. And we're getting a lot of repatriation of funds coming into this country and rebuilding. And that's one of the reasons why manufacturing is seeing an enormous surge in growth and in capital expensing. So I feel very good about it, and this is one of the things I spent my entire career working on.
Okay, so you know this is coming. The CBO says $1 trillion deficit.
Yeah, they said revenues are up. Revenues are hitting near their 50-year high. Revenues are up. This problem is a predictable one. It is spending. And so this CBO report didn't surprise me in the least because, again, it actually said that revenues are up a little faster because of growth. Interest rates, because the Fed is normalizing, is clearly a factor. But it's what I've been saying forever and a day, entitlements. We actually spend, discretionary spending is lower than it was in 2010. So we've actually held the line on discretionary spending. It's entitlements. It is baby boomers retiring, a country not prepared for it. It's health inflation, and it's the entitlement programs. The House passed the biggest entitlement reform bill that Congress has ever considered. Unfortunately, that bill did not pass the Senate. So that is the unfinished business that Congress has to attend to.
But CBO cited defense spending as the #1 driver on the cost side.
we are still below where we were 8 years ago on defense. And I would strongly argue that defense is the number one priority of the federal government. It's our number one responsibility. And we had a serious readiness crisis. It had to be attended to. We're in the midst of negotiating our second appropriation bill, which rebuilds the military. And the issue is entitlements. It always has been, and it always will be until we fix entitlements.
Okay, but so corporate, tax receipts go down, and that kind of adds to this growing gap. You can't be happy with a $1 trillion deficit projection.
Of course
right?
not, but we knew it was coming. Why? You want me to say the same thing all over again?
No, but I mean, but how do you justify someday
let me say it this way.
Won't we all have to pay the piper?
Let me say it this way. So the argument is corporate receipts are down. We just dropped the rate to 21% from 35%. Of course, you're going to see in the interim a drop. But what we're also going to see are U.S. corporations are going to stay U.S. corporations. We're going to see U.S. corporations are going to invest in the United States. We're going to see more jobs. We're going to see more productivity. That means higher wages, better living standards. We're already seeing that. And as a result of more people going to work, 3.9% unemployment rate, wages going up, more taxes are coming in the door. So that's why revenues are up. They may not be up among the C Corp for this current quarter or the next quarter because they're at a 21% rate, but the economic activity that produced, the growth that is producing, the higher wages that's producing, the people that are coming out of poverty and now paying taxes, that's really good. That's what this is producing. So let's keep our eye on the ball, which is we need to get control of our entitlement programs. And the good news in that story is good reforms can mean that we can better fulfill the mission of these important programs, health and retirement security, without bankrupting the country. And that's why the kinds of reforms we've been talking about, I think, are so necessary.
Okay, but that would depend upon, the Senate didn't even agree with you. That would depend upon having even, broader control of Congress than you've had.
Yeah, we did. We failed to pass our entitlement reform bill on health care by one vote in the Senate. That's correct.
So I guess what are the prospects of reining that in? Because,
I think the election will have to determine that based upon what our vote count looks like in the Senate. We keep the House majority, which I think we will, and then you have to make sure that you have a big enough of a majority in the Senate to be able to pass health care reform.
But do people in Janesville, do people in Wisconsin, is that what they want? Do they really want their benefits taken away or curtailed?
Did I just say that?
No, I know. But do they want to?
I think they want to see an end to double-digit premium increases. I think they want to see that we have Medicare on a path to solvency. I don't think they want to see 200 million people get added to Medicare to accelerate its bankruptcy, which is what a lot of people are running for, like Tammy and others. I think if you take a look at our proposals, it would have lowered healthcare premiums. It would have still preserved pre-existing conditions. It would have been done more to give people more choices. We're down to one or two choices in the individual market. Because of, I think, our incremental progress we've made on healthcare since that bill didn't pass. We got rid of the individual mandate, so we're not forcing people to buy something they don't want. Scott is getting a waiver, 1332 waiver for risk pools. Our risk pool worked really well in Wisconsin. The HRSP, which you probably are familiar with, you've probably written about it. The HRSP.
No longer there, but yes, the high-risk insurance.
Yeah,
pool.
It worked really well in Wisconsin. It got people with pre-existing conditions affordable coverage, and as a result, it dramatically lowered the premiums for everybody else in Wisconsin, the other 90% of Wisconsinites in the individual market that were not in the risk pool. Well, we're putting that back in place now, and with federal funding. So you will see, I think, a better stabilized health insurance market in Wisconsin as a result of the governor's new approved waiver to restart risk pools, which is something we wanted to get done in law earlier, but I'm glad that the governor is getting a waiver to do that, because that's going to help us a lot in Wisconsin. And I think that's what Wisconsinites would like to see. Okay,
in a way, though, doesn't that cement the ACA as being around? It doesn't.
No, I think what it does is what's happening with the experience for the ACA in Wisconsin is so many counties down to one or two plans to choose from, and escalating premiums. If we can go back to the pre-ACA situation where we had a risk pool so that people with pre-existing conditions could get affordable coverage like we had with HRSP, then the rest of the individual market, more insurers will come into the marketplace and we'll have more choices, more competition that can help bring prices down. That is what we had before the ACA, and I think going through the waiver route. We have association health plans coming online now because of the administration. That's going to help Dawn and Chico Pope at the Buckhorn Supper Club, which is the best prime rib in the world, buy their...
That's a commercial.
It is, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I probably
Should
get
have
an ethics
it.
charge for that. Yeah, that will help them buy their health insurance in the Wisconsin Restaurant Association or the National Restaurant Association to spread the risk and get better coverage. So good things are happening in healthcare because we've moved toward more of an incremental approach of improving the situation because we didn't get the big bill passed through the Senate.
Okay, but these big ideas seem really difficult to, if they couldn't happen in these 2 years, how are they going to happen?
Well, like I said, we're actually getting things done. The risk pools are happening. The association health plans I just described, that's
But
happening.
the really big ideas that...
That's why I think the Senate's going to need a few more votes.
And you think that could happen?
Actually, technically just one.
You think that could happen?
Absolutely.
Okay, so before we go to the audience, just have to ask about
Okay,
you.
here it comes. Okay, what about me?
What the heck are you going to do?
I don't know. I have to wait until I'm done. The way I just have always approached this, because I'm still here as speaker, I need to just wait until I'm finished to then spend time figuring it out. And I'm going to spend plenty of time. I know I'm going to hunt a lot. We're going to go up to Granite Peak on the weekends. We're going to just do our thing. And I don't know a thing about volleyball, but I'm going to be a volleyball coach come January. I'm going to go read a book or something like that. So I'm going to do those things and then spend time figuring it out. But I have to wait until I'm done in my own mind in order to even look at those things.
I mean, do you have any regrets about how this has taken place?
No, I'm actually really, really at peace with things. I wasn't looking for this job, but I am really honored to have had this job. I'm honored to have been able to get our team to put together an agenda, to take it to the country, then to have unified government and the opportunity to put this agenda in place. We have passed 853 bills. I think it's a little more than that. Yeah, it's about 860 bills in the House this session. That is an incredible pace. We haven't seen that kind of pace in decades, since before Bush won. So we have passed our agenda. The Senate actually, they stayed in August, and they're getting a lot done. We're actually getting so many things done. We got tax reform done. We got regulatory relief done. We rebuilt the military. We overhauled the VA. We got career technical education done. We got the poverty stuff I've been working for years, like opportunity zones and social impact bonds done. We're this close on opioids. We're this close on our infrastructure bills. So I really feel like we've had an enormously productive legislature. It's making an enormous positive difference in people's lives, which is why we have these jobs. And at this phase and stage in my life and family, it's the perfect time to do what I'm doing.
So when you just went through all that, I just find it incredibly hard to believe that you will divorce yourself from politics and policy.
I won't divorce myself from politics and policy. I'm just going to not be in Congress anymore. I don't know exactly what that will be, but you can't completely divorce yourself from these. I'm a cause guy. I'm going to be working on the causes I care about in some other capacity. But we'll figure that out, come next year.
What are you not going to miss?
What am I not going to miss?
From this place?
Press events in the Rayburn Room.
Oh.
No, just kidding. Just messing with you, Jeff. No, I actually like this. We've known each other a long, long time. What am I not going to miss? It's the travel and the schedule. I've been this week in Amarillo, Houston, Dallas, Chicago, and Janesville. And then I'll be in D.C. and South Bend before I get back home, Sunday. So I won't miss the travel. I'm gone a lot. I added it up, Jan and I did at spring break. I'm on the road since I got this job 12 weeks more per year on average than I was as a busy congressman. So that's what I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss the constant travel.
So what's your advice to the next speaker?
Have a vision, get everybody get the team to agree to the vision, hold people accountable to it, set a timeline, and execute. It's what we did. It worked for us. I will keep working on it.
I think it's amazing. I think there were a lot of predictions that when you did what you did, that you wouldn't survive as speaker, that the long knives would be out. How'd you avoid that?
I've been around here a while. And again, what I learned just from observing, first of all, I never wanted the job in the first place. I think that kind of helped me. I'm the first guy in decades to have gone from just being a committee chair to jumping over to this job. Most people kind of go up the elected leadership route, which is just never something I wanted to do. And I think that different perspective helped me a lot. And getting our members to spend basically a year, 2015, to assemble an agenda that we would agree to assemble and run on, and then hold ourselves accountable to executing it. That organizing theory is how we were able to make this place work really well. Because when you'd have fits or starts, or you'd have different factions within the GOP coalition wanting to go this way or that way.
I heard about different factions.
Yeah, it's a coalition government. I always tell people I run a coalition government without the efficiency of a parliamentary system. You know, but it helps to go back to, this is not the plan that we agreed on. This is not what we said we would be doing here. This is where we're going. Because we got pre-agreement from members that our vision and our agenda would be X, Y, and Z, I was able to keep everybody focused on X, Y, and Z when people wanted to go focus on A, B, and C. And that just has helped quite a bit for this place.
So a plan actually helps. Okay, so let's go to the audience for questions. I don't know how many minutes we have left, but we're going to try to fix them in. Okay. Tim has a question here, and are you going to give him the mic?
What's Connor doing now?
Looking to get picked up by a team.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Tell him we're praying for him. I've rooted for him.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So as the president tacks back and forth on trade, and there's a lot of work that needed to be done on it, what advice would you give to companies in Wisconsin like Harley-Davidson and Waukesha Metal as they try to figure out what this looks like?
Well, they know my answer to this question. So I've obviously talked to a lot of our employers in Wisconsin. I tell people just to hold on, to be patient, and to bear with the fact that there is a plan and a strategy with a good landing point. I'm not a fan of tariffs. Everybody knows that. I mean, the reporters back here who watch me at Ways and Means Committee knows that's not what I think is. I don't like tariffs. I think the idea, though, to get better agreements with our allies, North America and Europe, and those conversations are ongoing, and they've already yielded some good results. Get a good agreement with our allies that fits the 21st century, and we did need new agreements for the 21st century. Get those in hand, get those done, then rally the developed world to join us to go confront China, so that to get China to play by the rules. Because China steals European intellectual property rights just like they steal American intellectual property rights. They transship to us, just to the Canadians, just like they do to us. So I think the idea and the strategy of, it's hardball, it's tariffs, it's tough talk, but if it results in good agreements with our allies and a unified developed world front to go get China to play by the rules, then that's a pretty darn good outcome. So I would simply say, be patient for that.
Same to farmers, be patient. I mean, because sometimes it's harder for them.
I talk to a lot of farmers. I was talking to a buddy of mine who is a corn and bean farmer back home. He was this one who said to me, he's like, I'm going to be patient. I think what he's trying to do is a good deal at the end of the day. I was talking to some elevator guys the other day in Clinton, Wisconsin. I was in Clinton about a week ago, talking to the guys who had the grain elevator there. They don't like the soybean back and forth, but they like the end game, and they like the fact that the president is trying to get a fair deal at the end of the day for the country.
Okay, raise your hands if you have another question. We'll call on you. No press, but go ahead, sir. Somebody with the mic is right there. Say who you are, please.
Michael Lacour-Little. Recently, Representative Hensarling introduced a bipartisan housing finance reform bill.
Oh, the PATH Act?
Yeah, I'd like to get your comments on that and whether you think it's going to make it through the House this year.
A little late this year. I like the PATH Act. I'm a fan of Jeb's bill on GSEs, but Jeb got so focused in his committee on flood insurance reauthorization and on the rewrite of Dodd-Frank. So the PATH Act, they just ran out of time and space, and it takes a long time to get consensus on what you do to spin the GSEs off. And so I think that issue is going to carry over to the next session.
Is this a shy group? There you go. Go ahead.
Bechtel.
Saw something the other day about maybe making the tax cuts and tax reform permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's coming up the last week of the month. Ways and Means is, help me, when's the markup? Is it tomorrow? Yeah, thank you, Bob. I know the markup was any day now. We've had some scheduling issues lately, so Ways and Means is marking it up tomorrow. We're going to have it on the floor. We're not in next week, the week after next.
Okay, but what do you want?
To make the individual provisions permanent.
And so, again, given that CBO report, we can all afford that?
Yeah, you think the economy could use a big, huge tax increase? I don't know if your businesses are pass-throughs, Ted, or not, but if we were to let those tax increases occur, then we would be taking the small business pass-through tax rate up to 44.6, while corporations are at 21. That would be devastating to this economy. So absolutely, we want to make those permanent.
So is that going to, will your colleagues in the Senate agree?
Ultimately, I hope so. Yeah, it's not reconciled. It's not in a reconciliation package. So we'll see.
Okay. Other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Is this a healthcare hospital question?
It could be. It could be. And maybe one centered on western Wisconsin. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should go back to all the rural.
How you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm working hard. I'm not retired.
He's retiring.
On
I
the
know
same
the feeling.
schedule.
Yeah, that's why you think. Yeah.
You two can have a party together.
Yeah. But so first I want to thank you. You've had a great run, and you've been a wonderful lot of help for us at the Marshfield Clinic, and we appreciate all the stuff that you've done. But so what's your advice for, we picked up almost 40,000 people on the federal exchange. A lot of people who were never covered before. But so what's your advice to the health industry, especially those of us that are working in the rural parts of the state?
Obviously, I wish our bill could have become law, because I think it would have made it so much better. People could buy, with a tax credit, the health insurance of their choosing, and we could have had risk pools nationwide to make sure that people with pre-existing conditions get disease management, preventative medicine, and affordable coverage wherever they want, freeing up the health insurance markets to be far more competitive for everybody else so they can get lower rates. That is the goal here, and I do believe that can be attained. We didn't get the big bill passed like we just discussed, but since you're Marshfield and you're Wisconsin, I think getting the 1332 waiver for Wisconsin to set risk pools back up, getting short duration plans, getting association health plans in place. I mean, gosh, just the Tavern League, the realtors, the restaurateurs, right then and there are so many people who are now in the individual market but work for small businesses that will have a chance at getting much more comprehensive, affordable health insurance just because of those three reforms right there. So I think we have better days ahead. It could be even better if we could get a bigger bill passed, but I think we've got better days coming ahead.
I'll say we've got about 5 minutes. A foreign policy question, perhaps.
Well, more of an institutional leadership question. My name is Tony Carroll, and I think we can't help
Sounds
but
like
reflect.
You're about to give a speech.
I can't help but think of the reflect upon the death of John McCain and his comments about the decline of regular order in the Senate. And that I came to this town in 1986, worked for Lorette Miller Rupee, a Wisconsinite.
For who?
Lorette Miller Rupee. She was director of the Peace Corps.
Oh.
And the collegiality certainly that was evident at that time certainly seems to have been broken down. And I think in John McCain's last moments, he talked about returning to the regular order where there was open debate, a lot more give and take. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on the institutions that you're leaving.
Yeah, this is a good question. I worry that we're seeing a deinstitutionalization of society writ large occurring in just not just America but in the world, and you can cite a lot of things. And by the way, this isn't one person that's done this. This is just society, it's culture, it's the internet, it's the 21st century. I think the tribalism that has occurred for a handful of reasons, but I think one of the harder aspects of this is 21st century technology has proven that tribalism and identity politics is effective. More to the point, which is even worse, people make money off of it. So that to me, I'm a Jack Kemp guy, right? So I believe in And John was a good friend of mine, but I'm more of a Kemp Reagan type guy. What that means when I say it, what I mean when I say that is that's aspirational inclusive politics, which tries to unify. But internet, money has proven identity politics and tribalism works. It's politically effective. It's morally wrong, but it's politically effective. And so what bothers me is it's being practiced on both sides, the right and the left. As conservatives, we used to think this was like a Saul Lewinsky left-wing thing to turn out their base. Unfortunately now, it's done all over the darn place. So this is one of the things I want to spend time thinking about when I'm done with this, because I'm busy trying to get appropriations done. I'm trying to get this healthcare bill. I mean, I don't get to think about this stuff too often. What I want to spend my time thinking about is how do you make inclusive, aspirational, unifying politics, it's free market conservative, the stuff I believe in, how do you make it strategically valuable? How do you make it that this is the winning thing? This is how you should conduct campaigns. This is what wins elections. You literally have to figure out how to beat tribalism and show that it's the right, it's not just morally right, but you have to show that it's actually strategically the right thing to do. And we have a ways to go on that. I just did a thing with Jonah Goldberg the other day at AEI. He wrote a great book on just this, and I think I commend it. Even liberals should read. I know they don't think of Jonah Goldberg as somebody they want to read. People on the left should read this book as well. I think it's very telling.
Okay, but that isn't going to happen this year.
No, but you're asking me, what you like the next 20 days or something like that? Yeah.
I mean, because this seems to be...
he's asking me a bigger question.
No, but I mean, this seems to be more negative than ever before.
I'm a Catholic. Look at what's going on, right? I mean, the deinstitutionalization of critical core institutions of civil society are under duress right now, not just government. And so as people, we have to do more on our own with our families and our communities and our churches and our governments and every other institution to build up those institutions, to teach our kids how important these institutions are. And as a conservative, I believe we need to do more to free up space for civil society to reassert itself in its rightful place in that big expansive space between ourselves and our government, which is where we lead our lives. So, go to Janesville. I can tell you the Rotarians, the Optimists, the Kiwanis, the Key Club, the Golden Key guys, all the groups, that's civil society. The churches, and these things are shrinking. They're deinstitutionalizing. And we need to do more as a society and a culture to breathe life back into those things. Now, one of the things, and I'm not trying to make this a left-right thing because it really isn't. One of the things is, as a limited government conservative, I want to make sure that I preserve that space so that government doesn't try and encroach upon it and push it out and deinstitutionalize it. But also, as a conservative, we need to stand up for the things we believe in and making sure that we are civil with one another as we engage in a public debate. And that identity politics and tribalism is an affront to that. There, how's that?
All right, well, that's a good place to end on a lofty ideal. So I thank you for being part of this, for being part of WisPolitics events all these years.
It's been great.
You can always get into an event free if you just call up and ask.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Go Badgers Packers. Awesome.